Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Chef Rich. Today we're going to be making acorn squash rings. Perfect for a Thanksgiving dinner. Really delicious and relatively simple to prepare. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe, and hit the bell. I will be listing all the ingredients in the description below as always. Let's jump right in. So over here I have 2 acorn squash. We're going to be cutting them in rings. I'm going to cut the top off first. Now, acorn squash is very hard to cut, so be careful if you're doing this. The bigger the knife, the easier to cut. You want to cut it about 3/4. Now, something that's very important. Acorn squash can be very dirty sometimes. So you do have to wash it very well. Like literally take a brush and kind of scrub it. The skin of an acorn squash is edible. However, because it is so dirty, you definitely want to make sure it's clean. I have 2 acorn squash, which we'll go back to in a little while. I just actually want to get this stuff cooking. I have 1 medium onion diced. I have 2 Granny Smith apples diced. I have 2 teaspoons and a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm sorry, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. 1 cup of brown sugar. Half a cup of Craisins, which are dried sweetened cranberries, a little bit of parsley for garnish, and a cup of apple juice. And also a little bit of, I'm not using olive oil for this because olive oil does have a strong flavor. This is just vegetable oil. I'm going to put just a couple tablespoons and put our onions up to saute. We do want to brown our onions a little bit so they'll actually get sweet. This is somewhat of a sweet dish if you notice the sugar and cinnamon. So we do want to brown them, and that's going to take a little while. I will show you what this looks like in a few minutes. Thank you. So our onions are sauteing, and like this is the end of it or bottom of it. I'm just going to scrape out all the seeds. It's not going to be it's not going to be a ring with a big hole. Most of them are going to have a larger hole. For these, I'm actually just going to take a knife and kind of cut around, and just to cut out the seeds. You can use a spoon to get it out. I like to cut it. That way it gets all the like stringy part off. And you can do that with all of them. So. Just like so. And then this parchment paper, and actually have to spray this. So I got to get out some spray and go spray it, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm all done. Alright, so our onions are fairly brown, which is they're pretty good the way they are. We're going to add our apples and cook this out for probably about another minute and a half, I'm guessing. In a couple more minutes we'll add the rest of the stuff, but I just want to get this sauteing first, and that'll be pretty good. Next, actually, I want to talk to you about our acorn squash. So I have 2 trays of acorn squash. Basically, each squash yielded me 5 pieces, to give you an idea. This was quite difficult for me to cut. And I'm used to cutting it. I'm using a relatively big knife. I actually Googled it. According to Google, you can actually microwave an acorn squash for about 2 to 3 minutes, and that will soften the skin and it'll be a lot easier for you to cut. The only reason why I'm saying that is because I don't want you to cut yourself. If you're using a bigger knife and you're relatively strong, it won't be that bad. If you're not very strong, you might want to try microwaving it first. So, just a helpful tip. We're just going to mix this every now and then. If you can't do this motion, feel free to use a spoon. This has been cooking just for a few seconds, which is actually fine. Maybe it's been cooking for about a minute. At this point, I'm going to add our brown sugar. Going to add our cinnamon and nutmeg. Going to add our Craisins. And lastly, going to add our apple juice. We're going to break up the brown sugar. And this is going to cook until the brown sugar reduces down into a syrup. So it's going to cook for probably, I'm going to guess, 5 to 10 minutes. I will show you what it looks like in a little while. So our apple and onion mix and craisin mix has been cooking for about 10 minutes. You notice that the liquid is very syrupy, which is exactly what we want. I did actually add a half a teaspoon of salt, just to kind of brings up the flavor a little bit. Doesn't actually make it salty, but it just brings up the flavor. We're going to bring this over here. We're basically going to put this on our squash. Alrighty, so I've put our apple, craisin, and onion mix on top of our acorn squash. I'm going to actually cover these up. I'm going to bake them for about 20 minutes, and then like the last 10 minutes of baking, I'm going to uncover them. So I'm going to cover them up now with aluminum foil and throw them in a 350-degree oven. See you soon. Bye-bye. Our squash has been in for probably right about 25 minutes, and I'm sure it's not done yet, but at this point I'm just going to uncover them. And I'm going to check them to see how they're doing. To check it, you just stick a fork in. When it's fork tender, it's done. It's getting there, but it's definitely not done yet. I'm going to uncover the other one, and we'll check back in like another 10-15 minutes. So our acorn squash rings are done. The way you can tell that they're done, if you take a fork and you stick it in, should go in very, very easily without too much pressure. If you have to sit and like really push on it, it's not done. So that's the first thing. In the end, it probably took between 45 minutes and an hour. My oven's at 350 degrees, but for whatever reason, my oven cooks very, very slow, I find. Just with everything I make, it generally cooks slower than everything I make takes longer than what I think it's going to take. So, as I said, this actually probably took about an hour. You should leave it covered for about 45 minutes and uncover it for like just the last 10 or 15 minutes. This will make like a great appetizer for Thanksgiving. You can do it as a side, of course, but serving it as an appetizer works very, very well. I'm going to actually just try it. Skin cut's relatively easy, which is a good thing. Really, really, really good. The sweetness of the apples and the brown sugar and cinnamon complement the acorn squash wonderfully. It's just a really, really great complement together. So I'm sure you'll enjoy this if you try it. Have a very happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. If you like this video, please hit the bell and like button and share it with your friends. Feel free to leave any comments below, and be safe.